Hello and welcome to Earth Calling. We're your hosts, Ed and Lazlo. Every week we bring you a fresh slice of online content, sorting through the likes, the memes, the insta-Queens, the swipes, the scrolls, and the Twitter trolls. Together, we're laying down our 21st century digital legacy. So sit back, relax, and buckle in. This is Earth Calling.
Welcome back, Earth Callers. A big week for me this week because on Wednesday I received a message from Ed. Just wanted to tell you about this message. He said, "I hate to say this, but your Alan Rickman is better than mine."
You
highlight of my week because, I don't have many victories, I think, in the accents camp. Ed is, he's very good at his accents, but I'm very glad you liked it. Actually, funny enough, I think that's the worst Alan Rickman I've ever done just then. But anyway,
I'm going to work on it, but no, I did send Lazlo that text because I was listening back to it, and it was a victory.
It's fine, Ed. You've got Morgan Freeman, you've got Frank Underwood under the belt. Let me have Alan Rickman.
Look, all I can say is so bad. I'm working on it, Potter. I'm working on it. Back to work.
Back to the fitness app Strava.
Exactly. So this week we will be discussing Strava and the world of millennial fitness. And as ever, I have done a bit of research into how the app came to be, and I'll talk us through the premise because Strava, unlike some of our other apps and platforms, is perhaps lesser known. So Strava, for those that don't know, is an app that allows you to make fitness social. Okay, cool.
Oh my god.
And you can essentially track your activity, so whether that be a run or a bicycle ride or maybe you're a speed walker, and you can record where you've been and how fast you've done it in different segments, upload that to the internet, and then compare yourself to your friends or even strangers. So it's a social fitness app. It was founded a while ago, back in 2009, by Mark Gainey and Michael Hovarth.
Okay, I'm going to go out on a limb. Now, this is rogue. I think that this app was founded on the west coast of the United States of America.
Yeah, getting warmer.
Okay, and more specifically in the state California.
Correct.
In a little valley known as the Mercury Valley.
No, it was of course founded in San Francisco, and I have to say that I sound like a broken record on these bloody podcasts. I would love it if we could get a bit of variety. Where are the, not least so I could do the accents. Where are the South African startups? I could do a great founding story about an incredible technology startup that's just really kicking off in Pretoria. That would be just wonderful. Or maybe, actually, South Africa has a company called Naspers that's a big tech investor. They invested in companies like Delivery Hero. But or maybe Scotland. Where are the great Scottish startups?
I knew you'd find a way to just wedge your Andy Murray in there. Because, of course, your founder in Scotland is going to sound a lot like Andy Murray. It's like, yeah, I just started this app, which you can compare your tennis swing with, the neighbours. And obviously, it's just starting. We've raided the first round, but it's looking really exciting.
I don't know why he always sounds as if he's about to suddenly start crying again.
He's also got this kind of classic example of vocal decay. You know how vocal decay is typically associated with, California, oh my god. You hear that? But Murray's kind of goes like...
Sounds a little bit like he's sort of just permanently really bored.
Yeah.
But in terms of Scotland, I suppose, Scotland, I was trying to think through this. Scotland do have some great success stories business-wise. They've got Brewdog, is a Scottish company, Punk IPA, which has taken the world by storm. But on the tech side, there's perhaps a little bit less coming from Scotland or indeed South Africa or anywhere other than the Silicon Valley.
It's because they invest all their bloody money in trying to scan Loch Ness for any signs
Nessie.
of life. Yeah, for Nessie.
Nessie the monster.
Yeah.
It would be great if there was a Loch Ness monster, wouldn't it? That's actually what 2021 needs, don't you think? Like just discovering a monster in Loch Ness.
Definitely.
Or maybe it's not what we need, because maybe the monster would then eat us all. But
we've all seen that photo, which is, a supposed sighting of Loch Ness monster, which basically looks like this. It's a terrible photo. It's just like a little pipe sticking out from the lake.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, this is the snout.
Yeah.
That's not a snout, mate.
But back to Strava. So founded in 2009, but really took until 2019 to kick off. And it was kind of a niche fitness lovers app. But in 2019, Michael Horvath returned as the CEO, and with more innovation and more of a focus on athletes, he led the company to 35% growth in user numbers to 68 million users over just a 6-month period. So pretty impressive growth, and I think in 2018 it was adding 1 million users every 45 days, with 8 million activities uploaded each day. So that's the platform itself. Over the years, they have had a couple of hiccups, and one that I wanted to just briefly touch on was a great privacy concern, because Strava obviously tracks where you are, it tracks how fast you've done your particular exercise, and this is great if you're just sharing it with your buddies, but the default option is showing everybody in the world what you've done, so you actually have to untap that when you've done your run. Now, what this led to was a series of highly confidential classified US and UK military bases being revealed, because the soldiers were going stir-fry crazy, probably not, fighting or killing anything or anyone. And they therefore were going on lots of runs. And so you could literally look at the outlines of, Area 51, which is actually probably where our aliens maybe they're already there. Maybe they're actually in there.
Yeah.
And you can imagine sort of in Iraq, they're going around on their runs I don't know what I've been told.
Well, I had that image in my head, and I was thinking, what the hell are they doing, bringing their their phones on their
maybe you could repeat after me. So, I don't know what I've been told.
Everybody's growing old.
No, you're meant to go.
I don't know what it is. What is it?
You just repeat what I say.
Oh, okay, go for it.
Okay, so I don't know what I've been told.
I don't know what I've been told.
Those Taliban boys gonna find a stronghold on Strava.
That's just really, really convoluted. That's
it doesn't really
turn
fit.
into a confusing jog. You're trying to. The whole point is you're trying to match the rhythm of your steps. That just doesn't
stand up.
So what happened? I mean, did people, did people just start, scouting Area 51 based on these jogs? Were people...
I think it just led to some red faces in the military, and Strava has now agreed to collaborate with governments about sensitive objects, militarily speaking. So now they can just basically block any activity going on there. And they've probably told their privates to be a little bit more cautious when they're uploading their stuff.
I love that, because obviously on Strava, I mean, just to give you a quick preview of my experience with Strava, which totals approximately 12 hours since I downloaded it in preparation for this episode, but I've seen that these activities obviously you can name, so you give a name to your run. I just love the idea of some US soldier just naming it just like, a quick jog to UFO crash site A and back. It's like very subtle, mate. Very subtle.
Yeah, just gonna go see E.T.
yeah. I'm just gonna do a quick lap of illegal nuclear weapons facility 369.
So they had some privacy concerns, but they've got back on track, and the app reached cult status last year, I would say, in lockdown 1.0, particularly in the UK, due to a phenomenon known as Run 5, Give 5 to the National Health Service, whereby the idea was that you would run 5 kilometres and then you would donate £5 to the NHS at the height of the first wave of COVID. And this took the country by storm, and everybody started posting on Instagram, showing their Strava. I was tagged. It was one of those great sort of tag and go type scenarios where a bit like the Ice Bucket Challenge.
Yeah.
It's great for, getting stuff done.
Neck nominate, remember that?
Neck and nominate, yeah, where you drink a drink and then nominate someone, which then ended up with various people dying. But it was one of these social phenomena, and I was nominated by a friend, actually, ironically, because he chose the 5 people he thought were least likely to do it. To clarify, that's least likely to run, not least likely to donate. I'm very generous.
Yes, Edward has a quarterly direct debit, which goes off to...
Monthly direct debit.
Monthly, is it? Yeah.
Yeah. So I took up the mantle and downloaded this app and went on my 5k run. And what I liked about it was that you could see how fast you did each segment and each kilometre, which was great. So that helps you to improve, and you can then compare yourself. But I didn't really want to compare myself to anybody else, not least because I wasn't very fast. But what I then started to notice was people were uploading these times that were just not really feasible. You'd be like, Bob, you can barely get up the staircase, mate. There's no way you're running a sub 20-minute 5K.
This is very funny because when I first registered for the app, you have a flow which gets you to follow people who are already on there. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was pretty funny how they used the term athletes, follow athletes.
Yeah.
So there I was, logging in with my phone. I see this list of inverted commas athletes, and I'm thinking to myself, I mean, these are not bloody athletes.
You're thinking Usain Bolt, you're thinking, Eliud Kipchoge.
Oh, very good, and certainly not Marshall Watkins, who, sorry to shout out Marshall there, but
there was definitely cheating going on, and it was almost as if Bob had sort of hopped on a bicycle halfway along the run to, trick the app into thinking that he was going at superhuman speed. So I did find that a little bit frustrating. And then there was this whole phenomenon of slight one-upmanship, and it's already to a certain extent virtue signaling, and I don't think there's anything wrong with posting it on Instagram. Don't get me wrong, it raised a huge amount of money and was a wonderful initiative, but there is that certain element of, look at me doing this and I'm super fast and I donated my money. Of course. And then people start going, I've actually just done 20k and £20 nominating Sarah, Michael, Spencer and Janie, and you're like, there's no need to tell us all that you can run 20k. Yeah. Just give the 20 quid.
I remember this video that was popular during the first lockdown where I think these two worlds collided, with this kind of, guy in his 50s or something who's just a part-time jogger who timed the end of his run with the NHS clap.
Yes.
So he's kind of coming back and he does this kind of round, he kind of does this big loop just to soak up the applause, and he's kind of,
you
waving
got Chariots
to all
of
the
Fire
houses.
in the background.
Okay, you insisted on going to the end of the passage. Yeah, I thought that was very
great
funny.
film. Yeah, that's wonderful. So I think, there's certainly pros to it. There's an element of the app that I find is a little bit self-congratulatory, but perhaps that's just because I'm extremely bitter because I'm not very fast. And I said to several people when I first realised that I was quite slow, I said, guys, I obviously don't have a runner's physique. And they're like, Ed, you literally have the exact runner's physique. You've got gangly legs and you're quite tall. You are, you should actually be in Kenya. Yeah. You should be in Kenya chopping down 2-hour marathons. But I now run around Hyde Park. Don't stalk me on Strava, by the way. It's not available.
Please do, and send us your screenshots of Ed's activities.
But the thing about Hyde Park and my runs there is obviously loads of people run in Hyde Park, and so therefore there's a lot of data for the different segments. And so I thought, well, I'll just have a look at how I'm doing, how I stack up against everybody else. And there's a segment in Hyde Park called Bayswater to Serpentine. And I run this in 3 minutes 30. And I was like, that's all right. I'm certainly out of breath by the end of it. Jimmy Heel, who holds the gold medal for this particular segment, props to you, Jim, does it in 2 minutes. So he's running basically a minute 30 faster than me. And I thought, well, he's obviously just sprinting it. He's obviously just taking the piss, and he's decided to run this as a kind of, a sprint.
Yeah.
I looked up his run, and it's obviously part of a 1 hour run that he did.
Bloody Jimmy.
And you just think, come on, Jimmy, give us all a chance.
Maybe he just hops on a lime for that little segment.
Yeah. Maybe I should treat it as a sprint and make it my life's work to nail the Bayswater Serpentine segment in Hyde Park. Shout out to anyone else who runs in Hyde Park. Bayswater to Serpentine. If you can do it in under 3 minutes.
See you there. Look, guys, let's just cut the shit. It's Thursdays 10 a.m. We're all gonna be doing the Bayswater Serpentine sprint. Let's get this to go viral, guys. Let's get this trending. Yeah, Serpentine and nominate. It doesn't have to be the label.
Serp and nom.
Serp and nom sounds like a snake's dinner. Nom nom.
But so I'm conscious that, I've discussed my experiences in the world of millennial fitness. What have you come across, Strava or otherwise?
Yes, well, as I said, my experience to Strava is very limited, and, of course now I'm going to be on a 30-day activity binge, so please do follow me and stay tuned. But, no, I wanted to talk about this other app, which I find pretty amusing. It's very much in this kind of vein of, let's say, putting metrics and analytics to your physical health, and it's called, quite unappealingly, Sweatcoin.
Is that crypto, or...?
It's not a crypto. It is a form of currency. I wish it was crypto.
Sweatcoin to the moon. Am I right? Yeah.
So Sweatcoin, very simply, rewards you for every step you take in your day. So you just download the app, and then it registers how many steps you've made. Today I've made a grand total of 303 steps. It is a Saturday. Do excuse me.
Hang on. Sorry. Let's just pause right there. So it is 4:30 p.m. in Berlin on a Saturday afternoon. And Lazlo, you've done 300 steps.
I really wish I hadn't set the number.
What have you done? You've got out of bed. You need at least 100 to just get up and go to the loo.
In my defense, I did take the bins out and not take my phone, so it's not included those valuable steps.
Lazy Lazlo needs to go on a couple of runs around Berlin, no?
I have a lot on my plate from an admin point of view, okay? There's a lot to be done.
I have a lot of life admin, am I right?
Yeah, you went a bit Indian in the first part of that sentence.
Oh.
Yeah, and anyway, so back to Sweatcoin, yes, I have done... Look, the day's not over, okay? There's plenty of time left in the day for me to rack up those steps. Just be patient. But basically, Sweatcoin... It counts how many steps you do, and then it awards you its currency called Sweatcoins, which you can then spend on various things in the app. So my total balance is actually quite high now. It's 750 Sweatcoins, which means a lot of steps. And just going now
what's that in real money? Come on.
But you can't transfer it to real money. You've got to spend it on these.
Okay. What can
treasures.
you get for 750?
Okay. Well, that's what I'm about to say. So, I've just gone on the purchasing. I can buy. It's all in German, but 50% off Rabatt auf stilische isole Flasche von Fancy Trinken. I don't really know what it means.
Okay, well, I got the fancy drinking at the end. Exactly, that sounds rather nice. Perhaps a sort of...
Yeah, it's just kind of like... I'll show you on the camera. It's just kind of like these little, water bottles, basically.
It's a water bottle. They're very in, those water bottles.
They are very in. They cost me 15 Sweatcoins. So, in theory, quick maths here, I could buy around 50 of those bottles.
Hang on, sorry. So where does the money for these... Did you put this money in and then you unlock it like those apps where they sort of force... You sort of force yourself by giving the app a load of money and then you unlock it by going to the gym?
Not at all, no. This is very simply just credit which I can spend on these items. And of course, the way that Sweatcoin themselves monetize is by having partnerships and sponsorships with these brands. So obviously... Yeah.
Sorry. So we all need to download this thing. So I literally just by wandering around make money, and I do that anyway.
Yeah, but make sure you take it when you go and put your bins out.
What about the big leagues? Is there anything on there for sort of 300 Sweatcoins?
So there is. Before, I don't know where it is now, but before there was something like 100-inch LED TV, which costs you something like 2,000 Sweatcoins.
But. Okay, how long have you had this? I'm basically trying to work out how many days I need to walk to get a TV.
To get a TV, yeah. I've had this, I think, probably 6 months.
Okay, so after a year or so, with me, actually, with my walking compared to yours, I could probably get a TV pretty quick.
You could. Anyway, so I just think Sweatcoin is a very funny example of the way that we try to kind of monetize these physical activities. Well, everyone, it's time for what has swiftly become the number one segment on here. It's none other than Lazlo's listicles. Obviously, we've been a bit liberal with the way that I'm actually doing these. 1 week it's to kind of guess the top 10 YouTube videos in Lazlo and Ed's stream. 1 week it's not even list related. This week, I'm glad to announce it does actually involve a listicle, the traditional listicle.
Good. Back to basics.
Back to basics. But the actual challenge for Ed is going to be different. So this time, what I'm actually going to do, Ed, is I'm going to tell you 5 of the items that appear on this list. And I want you to guess what the listicle actually is. So what basically unites these items and makes them appear on the same collection.
Ooh, interesting. Okay,
and
so a bit of an inversion of an already extremely unclear premise for a segment.
Exactly.
Great, good.
If you thought the premise was getting any clearer this episode, I'm afraid it's not. So I will give you a small hint, which is that the theme of this listicle is very much related to the content of this episode. So think millennial
I
health.
bloody hope so. I mean,
yeah, you would hope so. I mean, that's why I get paid the big bucks to run this segment. Okay,
well,
so
if you were running the segment, you'd be getting paid in Sweatcoin. Am I right?
yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so I'm gonna read out these 5 items, and then you're gonna think out loud, okay, and try to connect them.
Got it.
So, number 1 is beer. Number 2 is packaged peanuts. Number 3 is white sugar.
I should be writing these down, shouldn't I?
You should. That's what any diligent listicle student would do. And number 4 is chewing gum. And then the last one is just figs.
Just to recap, because I haven't written them down. So it's beer, peanuts, white sugar, chewing gum, and figs.
That's it. That's all you're getting.
And we're thinking what unites those in the context of millennial fitness?
Millennial health.
Millennial health. Okay. So, because I do like to flex my knowledge, I am just going to have to drop in a bit of trivia about figs, which I just can't see that there without saying it.
I like where this is going. Go for it.
So, did you know, Lazlo and listeners, that in every fig there is the decomposed remains of a dead wasp?
Very excellent knowledge, because that is something
related?
That is something I learned. It is. So you're on really, really good terrain here.
I just love that. Okay.
It's kind of annoying. I think I want to make these listicles in some way.
So I'm therefore starting to think about something down the line of enzymes and organic processes. Something to do with fermenting, maybe, given that we've got beer. Gum obviously sets off stomach acids. You're not giving me anything from your look here, okay? Figs decompose their wasps and break them down. Peanuts, I'm very confused by how they fit in. I mean, technically they pack an alarming amount of energy into a very small amount of unit space.
Just to update the listeners, it's quite funny because Ed is basically he's looking at his list. He's kind of thinking out loud, and then he keeps on looking at the screen to gauge my reaction, as if I'm just be like, yes.
Oh, you're giving me nothing. It's like playing poker with Le Chiffre. Am I right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Casino Royale, great film. So I was thinking that it was something to do with weird foods that trigger some form of organic process within the body which is somehow good for you and have been trending at some point on some blog.
Okay.
For their various properties that are connected to that.
You're not right. I'm just going to ask you to try and do a second guess, really thinking about the whole wasp in fig thing, because that's a really good kind of train of thought. So
the wasp, to clarify, I believe the wasp is involved in the pollination of the fig. So they basically help the fig to procreate, but they get stuck. The wasp lays its larvae inside the fig. Exactly.
It's kind of almost disturbing how much you do know about this very specific topic. But yes, female wasps lay their eggs inside figs, and they are often unable to escape from the fruit, and they decompose inside.
Do millennials lay eggs in pints of beer? I mean, like, what is
You smashed it. It's all,
Sugar, I mean, I don't know, mate. You put me out of my misery.
Yeah, so I will put you out of your misery. You were close because of the whole wasp thing. But these, very surprising, and I would explain how, these are all under the list 15 surprising foods you think are vegan but aren't.
Ah, nice. Okay.
So that's where the wasp comes in.
Yeah, I should have got that. Bugger. So beer, of course, is not because of the reaction that happens with the yeast, I would imagine, and therefore that's considered to be a living thing. Is that? Or
it's actually not. It's not. It's because many beers, especially in the UK, are filtered with something called isinglass, which is a membrane that comes from tropical fish bladders, and it usually.
Oh, come on, mate. We don't need to know that.
What?
When I'm sitting in a pub on April the 12th in a beer garden looking down at a lovely pint of Stella.
I'll have the fish bladder brew, please.
Yeah, I don't want to be thinking about the fact that it's been filtrated through a fucking
I'm sorry, Ed, but in the real world, these things are not as simple as they seem.
Okay, interesting. The one that I'm probably most confused by is peanuts. Because are you talking about you're talking about the peanuts that you get in a packet rather than just the actual sort of monkey nuts, as I think they're known.
Exactly. Obviously, organic peanuts are all good to go, but basically, popular brand. I really do fear that the listeners are really going to resent me for ruining a lot of their major snacks and drinks.
Oh, here we go.
Basically, some peanut brands. I say some because it's not all. Are coated.
What about the only one we care about is the one where there's the big peanut with the monocle. You know the bloke I mean? That guy.
What, the KP?
KP nuts,
KP. It's not mentioned here. This is an American article after all. But apparently some peanuts are coated with an animal-based gelatin that makes them taste extremely salty. Should I ruin white sugar for everyone?
Well, I think white sugar has insects in it, doesn't it?
No. So I did actually know this one, that white sugar, or a lot of types of white sugar actually have bone marrow in them.
Oh, for God's sake. Why? What's that got to do with anything?
Just makes it nice and powdery, that
I don't believe. What do you mean that white sugar has bone marrow in it?
It just does. It just does. But also, so it gets filtered through animal bones. It's not quite the explanation I actually had in my mind, but that's what the... Oh, hang on, sorry. I was actually just going to talk about how brown sugar is better, but I was just reading the excerpt in the description. It says, actually, if you're wondering whether brown sugar is better, the answer is no. The process is the same with the addition of molasses. So, yeah.
Oh, I do like molasses, though.
Oh, molasses.
Oh, why don't? It's such a wonderful word, molasses. Okay, but fine. So that's sugar. And then chewing gum, I think, probably has gelatin or some kind of glycose, something or other.
Chewing gum is made using gelatin or stearic acid, which is derived from boiling animal leftover skin and bones.
Right. Well... Great, thanks for that, Lazlo. I mean, you've ruined a bunch of nice foodstuffs for us today.
I feel bad, guys. I have to say that this episode of Lazlo's Listicles really took a turn for the worse. I promise that in the future I will not be revealing really dark secrets about everyday items we consume.
I'm pretty sure vegans chew a lot of gum. The ones I know do, anyway. Maybe they've got vegan
just to be
gum.
clear, you've got a specific set of set of vegan friends in your head, and you've just drawn that second circle in the Venn diagram to be gum chewers, and there's a big intersection.
There's a big overlap, yeah.
Big overlap, cool.
I'll tell you a Venn diagram I would love to see would be a Venn diagram that shows vegans, Peloton owners, and Lululemon legging wearers. Are the circles actually all... Same.
I'm slap bang in the middle. I'll tell you that
you'd
for free.
love it.
Yeah.
I mean, Lululemon, what a great brand. How have they done that? They basically took essentially leggings, or are they called jeggings if they're jogging leggings apparently? But anyway, they took leggings and made them a fashion accessory. So you have Sweaty Betty, also amazing how they made a brand out of something that makes you think of...
They should partner with Sweatcoin.
They should actually. Sweaty Betty featuring Sweatcoin. But it's wonderful how over the course of our lifetimes, essentially fitness and health has become a fashion statement. So back in the day, if you walked down the Lower East Side of Manhattan, for example, you probably would have seen people wearing very baggy jeans and crop tops, perhaps for the women or the men, if that's your thing. And nowadays, you would not see that. You would see people going in their Nike trainers with their leggings. And it's not even like they've been to the bloody exercising. They haven't been to SoulCycle. They're just out to get their matcha latte or their smoothie. And they're wearing their leggings because it's fashionable, and nothing to knock that. But it's amazing what they've done. Those brands, athleisure, I believe the sector is called.
Is it called that, athleisure?
Yeah,
I don't like that.
Oh, why not?
I don't know. It just reminds me of athlete's foot. Why does it remind me of athlete's foot?
God.
What is athlete's foot?
You're really on.
Why am I bringing up?
What are you doing today?
I've done my 303 steps and I'm feeling kind of shagged out. Okay, so yeah.
But it's a whole world out there of wonderful fitness innovations that we will have to spend a bit more time on, I think, because, I would love to talk through the phenomenon that is the spin class. I go to Cycle, and that's spelt Psycle, because you can't just call it... Yeah, exactly. So really I go to Cycle, and it's like a cult. So it's the London equivalent of SoulCycle, which started in America and is super cool. Anyway, we have Cycle, which is a bit more rough and ready, and you go in and it's like being at a club, and I need as much distraction as possible to basically make me forget that I'm doing stuff that my body doesn't really want me to be doing. And at the end of a class, everybody's whooping and cheering and screaming, and you feel like you're attending some kind of Southern Baptist convention, I guess.
Yeah.
And at the end, the instructor, who is basically a preacher, he's called AD, he's bloody cool, and he's got very big muscles. He gets up and he makes everybody make the sort of praying hands.
Oh,
and he
my
goes,
God.
"Now everybody repeat after me. I am damn awesome." And the entire class goes, "I am damn awesome." I don't know why I did a high voice. I mean, they are mainly women, and I'm sort of there rather awkwardly standing there, sort of, I am damn awesome.
It's sort of cat among the pigeons, isn't it? For you in a spin class.
I can't hear you. I said I am damn awesome.
I'm beautiful and I'm strong and I will be better.
And then there's bloody Barry's boot camp, which I went to, and I felt extremely uncomfortable because you do most of the exercises looking at yourself in the mirror, and I just thought, wow, what a sort of unhealthy, self-obsessed.
That's quite American Psycho. Christian Bale going at it on his bed, looking at himself.
Yeah, and it's a red lit room as well. It's called the Red Room, so it's very American Psycho. Actually, that's a good point.
Jesus.
Yeah. Every morning I apply a facial scrub and do 200 press-ups because it makes me feel good. Yeah.
Honestly, I would pay good money to be a fly on the wall on one of your spin classes. Ed just kind of sweating from head to toe with this massive burly instructor. Like, "Ed, look at me! Look at me! You are strong! I am strong! You are strong! I am strong! You are strong! I sure am!" Just, cycling through the accents more than cycling on the actual bloody thing.
But that will have to wait for another day when we can delve into all of these wonderful fitness trends in a bit more detail. Because for today, that's all we've got time for. Thank you so much for listening. Please, as ever, do download us on Spotify, give us a like on Apple, drop us a review. Some people have been doing the reviews, not many. Like the amount of people that listen to this, come on guys, give us a review on Apple, it really helps. And do give us a follow over on Instagram at earth_calling_pod, where you can follow along for the latest updates and some bonus content.
Yes, and do join us next week for another episode where we continue our relentless pursuit of hashtag content, and this time scrutinize the age-old institution that goes by the name email. So make sure you CC your friends on the invite and tune in then. But for now, it's Earth out.